It's the band. Main man here, HH, on time. Here we go, man, for the weekly movie. Well, I call it, look, man, movie, entertainment show, whatever you want to call it, And that's just where we just talk films, we talk entertainment and, anime. So I thought for this one, I was first half, it's going to be about movies, war movies, talk about the greatest war movies that we've seen. What is the greatest war movie? Maybe go into a bit more detail into 1917, which is a crazy film. And then maybe the whole second half of this whole thing, talk about anime. I'm on that anime grind. I'm probably going to ride season 3 of Attack on Titan, man, because I think season 3 is already popping off. So I'm going to ride season 3 on it. And last few minutes, I'll take in your questions, man. Last few minutes, I'll take in your questions. So to right off with a shout out to the people who are listening live and shout out to the people who will be viewing this afterwards, man. So let's start off right now with war movies, man. And I think let's just start off with the one movie that I think everybody's talking about right now, which is your boy, 1917. One of the craziest war movies you've ever seen. I was listening to the soundtrack on my way back from work today. I was discussing it with my colleagues as work to today, and it's a film I'm still thinking about. And 100%, like, this is, because sometimes you say, whenever you see a film for the first time, you're like, okay, it's only the first time. You need to see it again. I already know that from watching it, it's already in the conversation. Now, you should never, after one viewing of a film, say, okay, that film is 100% the best war movie, the best sci-fi movie. No. That is reactionary. But I'm confident to say that I don't need to watch it a second or a third time for it to, at the very least, be in the conversation. And at the very least, it's the conversation. So, no, look, man, Joe, you have to watch the film. People who have not watched the film, you have to watch the film. Trust me. And the key thing is you have to watch the film in the cinema. That is the key thing. You must watch the film in the cinema. It was made primarily for cinema consumption, because that's just how amazing the film is. It is a cinematic masterpiece. But I just think that, this is really a conversation about the best war movies. Now, I've not seen every war movie, but I'm confident to say, people may say I'm wrong, but I'm confident to say that I have seen the best war movies. And people have been mentioning this, Dunkirk. Now, look, people say that, you shouldn't speak on something if you've not really seen it. But you see, I've gone cold off Nolan. Ever since Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, I went cold off Nolan. I'm in the minority. I am in the minority. I don't think Nolan has made a film as good as either Memento or Prestige. That's just me. And I think even viewing the trailer for Dunkirk, the film just seemed boring for me. And if a trailer is boring, I ain't going to watch the film. Like, the whole point of a trailer is you're supposed to excite me. So if I'm not excited by your trailer, why should I watch your film? So putting that to one side, I think when we look at the great war movies, you've got to talk about Saving Private Ryan. You've got to talk about Platoon. You've got to talk about Apocalypse Now. You have to talk about Full Metal Jacket. And I think those are the ones. See, I wouldn't say Doctor Strangelove isn't a war movie. People could argue that it is because it's sort of taking place in sort of wartime, but I would put Doctor Strangelove in the category of comedy. And it's a really great comedy. And for me, people say that, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, or what's the name of that film with Jack Nicholson? Damn it. Someone remind me in the chat, the horror movie with Jack Nicholson and those scary twins, and the blood goes all over there. Someone name me in there. What is the name of that film? But yeah, people will say those are probably Kubrick's best films. But for me, I think Kubrick's best film for me is Doctor Strangelove, which is a great film. I think George C. Scott, who was also in Patton, was really amazing in the film. So yeah, so those are the ones in there. So again, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Apocalypse Now, Saving Private Ryan. Those are really the great war movies. And I feel that 1917 should be put in that category. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Shining. The Shining. Thank you, thank you. Band of Brothers is a TV series. So I don't think Band of Brothers counts as being, because remember I said films. Films. Band of and see, I'm not seeing Band of Brothers, but I've heard great things. And I think Spielberg was a producer or a showrunner for Band of Brothers. Schindler's List isn't a when I say war movie, maybe I have to clarify this. Is where a war is taking place and you're seeing battle. So not necessarily because see, Doctor Strangelove takes place in wartime, but is specifically a comedy. Schindler's List takes place in wartime, but it is specifically a drama, a harrowing drama, but it is specifically a drama. So that's the thing in there. So if we're viewing it right now, I mean, let's just really talk about all these films. Let's have a discussion about these films, and then I'll throw in where I think 1917 ranks. I put because this is difficult. I put Saving Private Ryan number one, and the reason why I put Saving Private Ryan number one is this. So now people will say, okay, the ending is a bit cheesy, but I think the film is so good, the ending is cool. There is no stronger opening to a movie than Saving Private Ryan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I may be wrong here, but from what I was reading about, Saving Private Ryan was the first major motion picture, major release that utilized handycam. So, or no, rather that's utilized shaky cam. So a whole shaky cam that you now see like in the Bourne movies and all these films and so forth. I believe Saving Private Ryan was the first major motion picture. So major motion picture that's utilized that, how he viewed it on the beach, and just how that opening. And you're looking at how these guys are getting destroyed on that beach. I was like, homie, this is crazy. This is full on crazy. Because look, that was just mad, man. So, and I think the beauty of our Saving Private Ryan was that it worked on two levels. There was that level of the opening, amazing, Spielberg at his best, and why Spielberg is perhaps the greatest director of all time. But then the film then took on another turn, which is the fact of it was, as a band of brothers, it was about a unit and about a brotherhood and about their connection together. And I thought the story was a great story. It was a great story because the thing was, look, we're in wartime. Why the hell are we risking our lives for one dude? That's well, risking lives for one dude, but the whole thing of it was like, bro, this dude comes from a family where his mother had, I think, about 5 of them. 4 of them have been snatched up, destroyed, clipped up. There's only 1 left. And they're like, nah, that dude is coming back because we're not allowing a mother to lose all 5 of her sons that she's given to this war. And once Tom Hanks' character explains it, you're like, we get it. So, and I just think I still, and look, we can have a conversation because, Saving Private Ryan, let's have a conversation, but I will still say that's the best war movie. Now we shift over to Platoon, which Platoon might be my personal favorite because the thing about Platoon is this. Platoon was made by Oliver Stone. And Oliver Stone was a Vietnam veteran. And he actually had a cameo in the film. And the thing about Platoon was a bit similar to Full Metal Jacket and a bit to Apocalypse Now, which we'll get to. It's dealt a bit more towards the psychological aspects of the war. And there was almost a slight poetic nature to it. I mean, like, what's it called? I think it's called Adagio for Strings. There was this amazing sequence that plays. Because, of course, if you see the poster of Platoon, it's Willem Dafoe with his hands up and everything, one of the most iconic scenes, And Platoon was a great film because you could just, because it's dealt more with just the physicality of the war. It's dealt more with why are we here, and the different forces of those people fighting within the war. But my only gripe with Platoon was Charlie Sheen is not a great actor, and if his brother Emilio Estevez was actually in the film instead of him, I think it would have actually been a much better film, personally. So that's there. So for me, I just felt like the weakest point of Platoon was Charlie Sheen because I just don't think his acting is that great. But again, what's it called? Gosh, I forgot this guy's name, man. It'll come out. But again, Willem Dafoe was money in it. He was absolute money. So we go to Full Metal Jacket. Now, Full Metal Jacket is 2 films. Literally, it's two films. And if they had carried on the first film all the way throughout, it probably would have been the greatest war film. Because in the first film, it deals with really the psychology of war more so than any war film ever made. That first half just deals with the kind of indoctrination and the psychological breakdown that is needed to make you pretty much a war dog, like a unit, a cell. And that is just done brilliantly, amazingly well. But I just feel that the second half of the film is just like a regular war film. And it just felt very jarring, those two ideas, because look, it was an artistic choice by Kubrick to make, one half to be a war film like this, another half to be a war film like this. But I was like, I just felt that it would just seem like I'm watching two completely different films. So, and then we now have Apocalypse Now. Now, when I first watched Apocalypse Now, I didn't really get what I was watching. I was like, okay, this is really good filmmaking. And this is a very, very good performance by Martin Sheen. And, bro, there is not, I don't think there is a better build up to a character and a better payoff to a build up to a character that there is in Apocalypse Now. Because by the time you get to Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, you're like, bruh. And when you see what Marlon Brando does, because he gives one of the greatest acting performances of all time, like based on screen time, on limited screen time, that is the greatest piece of acting for limited screen time in any film. Like what he does is not even acting. It's not. It's beyond acting what he did. But the first time I didn't really get it. So maybe I was too young. So when the first time I watched it, I didn't really get it. So I was like, okay, what is this? What is it? What is this? Then I watched it again, a bit older, like about a few months ago, and then I was like, oh my god, I get it. Like this is see now what Apocalypse Now did throughout was what Full Metal Jacket did for the first half of the film. Throughout the entirety of Apocalypse Now, it was completely about the psychological nature of war, 100%. And when I viewed it like that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a wholly different take on what war is about. It's not about the killing and the shooting and this. It's about what the hell does this mean? Why are we here? And what does this do to us? And how does this? And because it's about how war makes people go mad. And that is why, when you now look at the dichotomy and the relationship between Martin Sheen's character and Marlon Brando's character in that film is amazing because they represent really what this whole thing is about. So that's the thing there. I like Levi. I love that you mentioned that. This is a great thing of actually having a live chat because they just remind you of stuff. I haven't seen Flags of Our Fathers. I need to watch that. The Clint Eastwood film. I need to watch that. Unless it's from Iwo Jima, because I think it's two of those films. Thin Red Line. Now, Terrence Malick is one of the best cinematographers you've ever seen. Terrence Malick is a horrendous filmmaker. The people say, "Wait, what the hell did you mean?" Just think about what I said. He is an amazing cinematographer in terms of setting a scene, visuals, what you're looking at, and what he does with the camera. It's amazing. Like I saw, because when I went to watch CC 1917, they showed the trailer for his new film, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds amazing." He's a horrible filmmaker. He does not know how to tell a story, and Thin Red Line was a mess. Let me tell you a quick story about Thin Red Line. So in Thin Red Line, Adrian Brody was told he was a star of the film. And Adrian Brody came on as a star of the film. That's what he came on. So he was like, oh my gosh, I'm the star of the film. And there was tons of footage that was filmed of Adrian Brody. So the premiere of Thin Red Line now comes, and Adrian Brody goes there with his family. Adrian Brody is there with his family to the premiere of Thin Red Line. And he watched the film and is like, bruh, I'm not in this film. Without him knowing, it had been edited in a sense where 90% of what he had filmed did not make the final cut, and Jim Caviezel became the main character. So so that's just like a side thing which is just crazy. But the issue with Thin Red and with a lot of Terrence Malick's films is it's just visuals, but there's no story. Like what I'm looking at looks amazing. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful cinematic imagery, but there's no story because he cuts here, he leaves there, it lingers for too long. The scenes are too long, they're far too drawn out. So you just get lost in the story and you just get bored. So you're not really hooked. So for me, Thin Red Line for me was similar to A New World and a lot of his films, A Tree of Life. I'm like, yeah, this looks great, but it's not really, you're not telling a compelling story. So now it comes to 1917. You see, 1917, because see, there are differences. This is why it's so hard to say what is the greatest war movie, because I think that there are two ways you can make a war movie. There is the 1917 Saving Private Ryan way, and then there is the Apocalypse Now, Platoon, first half of Full Metal Jacket way. So the Apocalypse Now, I think, is the best at depicting the psychology of war. 100%. That's what it's about. But in terms of just war in its rawest form, I think you can it's a really toss up between Saving Private Ryan and 1917. Like I need to see 1917 again. Like as of right now, I'm still going to say Saving Private Ryan. But 1917 is a crazy film. It is a crazy film. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It is just a really crazy film because it's a very simple story. It's an extremely simple story. It's not very complicated, but I think what it just does so well is you get the horror of war and the desperation of war. And I think that's why, like, if it's me, I prefer the films that depict the horrors of war. Now, it's nothing against the films that depict the darkness and everything, of more psychological nature war that these other films do. But I just feel, let's see what war is really about. Okay, war isn't a movie. It's bad. Like that opening of Saving Private Ryan, like, oh my God, this is messed up. And there were just some scenes and there were some sections in 1917 where I was like, no, this is messed up. This is really, really messed up, and just the journey that Sam Mendes takes you in that film. I'm like, bro, that's crazy. So it is a tough one saying what is the greatest war movie, but I think you have to really cut it down in those two. So from a psychological nature, you have to look at that first half of Full Metal Jacket. I don't know how many of you have, but that first half of Full Metal Jacket is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant, and Apocalypse Now, man, it's like, that journey that Martin Sheen takes from the beginning to the end and what they go through. It's a very different kind of experience, that is just gets your brain functions really working. But then, you now look at just, okay, what's it like to be in war? How messed up is it? What would it be? Because we can never know what it will really be like unless we're actually in it, which I hope and I pray that I'm never in a flipping war. But I think some of those scenes in Saving Private Ryan gives you a little bit of an inkling as to what it's about. There was another Mel Gibson war movie with Andrew Garfield that was really good. What's his name? Andrew Garfield, Vince Vaughn was in it as well. Really good film, directed by Mel Gibson. But again, I wouldn't call it one of the great war movies, but I say that's a pretty good war movie. Another crazy one is Hamburger Hill. I don't know how many of you guys have seen that. Hamburger Hill. That's like a very, very intense film. Really, like that. That's just like, okay, this is just like, this is how violent war can be. This is how violent war can be. Yeah, no, Black Hawk Down I thought was cool. Yeah, Black Hawk. The way thing about Black Hawk Down is that I watched it after the fact. I watched it many years because it came out in 2001. So I watched it. Yeah, thank you, Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge. So yeah, I watched Black Hawk Down many years afterwards. So it's weird because when I watched it so many years after, I'm like, oh my gosh, like Ewan McGregor, Josh Hartnett. I'm also called. I think Tom Hardy is in this as well. So just see so many of these famous faces, but when before they really became like really, really huge. But Black Hawk Down was, it was, decent, but it didn't linger with me. But again, with all of the films that are made by your boy Ridley Scott, it looks amazing. Like visually and everything, it looks amazing. But it really, it didn't really stay in my mind. So yeah, look, man, but I think that like Sam Mendes has definitely made a film where you can make an argument, because see, 1917 is different. Saving Private Ryan was heavily about the characters and the interactions of those characters, and that is what Spielberg wanted to focus on. And I think obviously the reason why, because Spielberg is really all about the story, and Spielberg is big on characters. Spielberg is like the opposite of like a Ridley Scott, where he's much more about the spectacle. Spielberg is like, no. I need to be connected with the characters. I need a strong character-driven story. So Saving Private Ryan is like is the band of brothers, and them going on this mission, and really them stuck together. 1917 is like that as well. It is like that as well, but I think watching it is definitely about these two characters, but it's really more so like, for me, the stars of, because like the stars of Saving Private Ryan, of course you have Spielberg, it's really Tom Hanks, Barry Pepper, Vin Diesel, Tom Sizemore. These are really the guys that you really don't know about. And for 1970, because look, Sam Mendes could have easily cast like a Christian Bale, cast like a flipping Eric Bana, or so forth in these roles, and Tom Hardy. He had cast known guys, but he cast guys that are not really well known. Like one of the actors was in that film with Timothée Chalamet, the what's it called, like the King or something, but he's not really well known. And the other guy I've never seen. So I think he purposefully wanted to cast unknowns because he didn't want these guys to detract from the story. But look, this was Tom Hanks in 1998. So when Tom Hanks did Saving Private Ryan, he'd already done Philadelphia. He'd already done Philadelphia. He'd already done Forrest Gump. I think he'd already done Castaway. I don't know. Did Saving Private Ryan come after Castaway or before Castaway? But look, he was already a known guy. And Tom Sizemore was obviously in Heat in 1995. So these guys were known. So that's the thing there, man. So but I think for 1917, it wasn't really about these stars. It wasn't really about the stars. It was really about, this is what World War I was like, and this was what it was like during World War One. Because it was a very different kind of war. And just when you just look at how guys were living, how they were operating, how they had to fight, and the mindlessness of some of the decisions that they had to go through, it was like, man, this is how we're gonna write. So that's the thing there, man. Is like, so is there an answer to the question? I think the answer to the question would be, but okay, so I said again, greatest war movie in terms of filmmaking. That's a hard one. It's a really hard one because 1917 had some crazy scenes, man. 1917 is an extremely well-made film, and I think the reason why 1917 is such a strong argument is Roger Deakins, Roger flipping Deakins, who I think we can all say that he is the greatest cinematographer of all time. And this was Deakins on his full level, because for me, I think Sam Mendes is an amazing director. For flipping Jarhead, flipping Skyfall, flipping American Beauty that he won an Oscar for. He's flipped amazing, but I think Roger Deakins just takes it to the next level. And Thomas Newman takes it to the over next level as well. So, but yeah, look, it was so no. It's no, but it's definitely of the but I think 2017 has now definitely been that conversation. But if I would still put it as Saving Private Ryan, I would say Saving Private Ryan is still the quintessential war movie. I just think as a whole package, as a picture as a whole, I also say Saving Private Ryan. So that's the thing there. So look, man, switching up. Remember, I'm going to take your questions during the last 15-20 minutes of the show. So Attack on Titan. Let's talk a little bit of anime now. I've seen Attack on Titan season 2, and you know what? I think I'm going to start season 3 because I think season 3 is sort of in its midst, that is happening right now, and the story has really picked up. The story has really picked up because I think, just to let people know, is that look, I am an anime noob. I'm an anime newbie, and I think when I was growing up, there was a friend of mine who was obviously, well, not really heavily into anime, but he was definitely much more into anime than I was. So, and the only thing I really saw was that really got into me for anime was really more so like Akira and so forth. But I always looked at anime from afar because for me, I like to sketch. Whenever I'm in the office, whenever I have a bit of free time, I just I like to sketch. I like to draw. So I liked looking at anime because the main things that I look at just the drawings, and I try and maybe just I look at how they do the eyes, the mouths, and everything, because I'm like self-taught drawer, so I don't go to lessons. I just doodle and all that kind of crap. So just from a much more of an artistic point of view. But I think I decided that loads of guys were saying anime, blah blah. So okay, right, I've got this whole Crunchyroll thing that I have. Okay, let me roll in through. Let me just go through the whole anime thing, and it's been an interesting foray. I think about this is that and I talked about this a bit more. It's like anime and Pixar. I'm much more of a fan of old school Disney. So Robin Hood, Basil the Grey Mouse, the Detective, and so much more. But I think that in anime, it is a lot more interesting and far more creative, and there are a lot more risks taken in anime. So I think basically people, if you're interested in just artistry and risk taking within artistry, I think anime is definitely something you should definitely jump into. So now, obviously, some of you guys say I've never seen an anime in my life. You see that people may say different because when I was saying, all right, I want to get into anime, I was recommended Death Wish. I don't think that's a good recommendation to have because I don't think that is the best rendition of anime. See, now, if it's me and your boy Joe and Avdelin Skills are saying, yo, HH, what would you recommend? I would recommend One Punch Man. Because I think One Punch Man is very digestible. Because for me, I don't think Death Note is not a good entry point into anime because it's very dense. Very, very dense. And you need to, because remember, it's subtitles, so you have to have your full-on concentration. But One Punch Man is an extremely easy story, very light-hearted, very easy to digest. And I think it's a great introduction into anime in terms of great animation, great visuals, wild characters, and just the craziness of what you get from the Japanese creative mind, which you're not going to get in Pixar. So I think that's it's that's what you do. But look, man, I see Attack on Titan, man, this is what I always say about Attack on Titan is like, look, now I haven't yet started season 3. And please don't post any kind of story point for season 3 because I'm probably going to start season 3 tonight. Just give it a start, and maybe I might finish it by tomorrow or this weekend. But it's a great concept. It is a really great concept. You have these. I don't know. Basically, it sets in the past or somewhere, but it's set in a time where there's not really huge advanced technology, and they have these giants, these horrific, scary giants. And these regular dudes, regular human beings, have to have these different pieces of machinery to try and fight these giants. And I'm like, no. And and they have and it's just, when you just look at how difficult they are fighting these giants, like, oh wow, this is bloody amazing. So I don't want to really give too much away as to how the story evolves, but just the setting of it's very much like because I like the whole David against Goliath thing, against all odds, and how do you fight when all the odds are against you. I love that concept. That's always a really, really great concept for me. But obviously the story just sort of have taken like a bit of a turn. I'm like, but I'm just invested because and I wanted to see how the story progresses because what you get in anime that you don't get in Pixar is like Japan are very crazy. They're very crazy. I mean, you have to be very crazy and creative to create a video gaming console. You have to be. So I think in that sense, man, it's like because even some of the things that I've seen, I'm like, well, man, that's just wild. Like, how did you even think of that? Where did that even come from? And just the Japanese way approach to storytelling is very different from what you get from the West, you know. Because I think in the West, it's always very because there's still some there's a lot of predictability in anime. Like for instance, why is there always someone blonde with blue eyes in anime? That doesn't make any sense to me. There's always someone blonde with blue eyes. But in the West, it's definitely a lot more like for Pixar, it's the same story. Like it's no, but like it's different things, different characters, but it's still the same damn story. It's still the same damn stories told time and time again with people just trying to make you cry with these sappy stories. But like One Punch Man, okay, between One Punch Man, Death Note, and Attack on Titan, these things are vastly different. They have completely nothing to do with one another. And I think the key difference is like cartoons in Japan is seen as an art form that is taken seriously. So the Japanese film industry has pretty much been replaced by anime. Because remember, Japan birthed one of the most influential filmmakers of all time in Akira Kurosawa. Like people will say that Rashomon, Hidden Fortress, Seven Samurai are three of the most influential films of all time, where modern cinema is heavily influenced by the film by Kurosawa's storytelling and his directing. People are saying, oh my gosh, like if Japan birthed one of the most influential directors of all time, what happens to their film industry? No, their film industry didn't go away. The film industry has just been replaced by anime. You know, and the kind of inventive, creative storytelling is in anime. But in the West, when they just see a cartoon, it's for kids. And the saddest thing is that the West haven't clocked on that there is so much creative stuff you can do in the medium of cartoons, in the medium of 2D animation or 3D animation. But they're still stuck in the idea that, oh no, if it's a cartoon, it has to be for kids. So we have to make it kiddie. And this is for families. But for Japan, it's like, my gosh, the amount of freedom you have within the animation world is vast. And there are things you can do in this medium that you can't do in the film medium. You can't make a film of Attack on Titan. It's impossible. It's what you can't make a film of One Punch Man. It's impossible. It can only exist in the medium of cartoons, and they've been trying to make a film of Akira. They've been trying, and hopefully they'll clock into that. You can't make a film of Akira. You simply can't. Like you just cannot make a film of Akira, man. So, but I just think, you know, for Attack on Titan, man, no, it's wild. You know, it's a wild piece, you know, and I think because I talked to my friend and this other YouTuber that I know who have said that they didn't even bother with Attack on Titan because they found it too morbid and it was too grim. You see, I like dark stories, you know. I love dark stories. And even if for me, Attack on Titan is not really perfect, so I think some bits are just a bit weird. I was drawn to it because I liked the setting. I liked the dystopian, post-apocalyptic. Well, I don't know whether it's post-apocalyptic, but you can argue like this dystopian setting and the whole thing. I'm like, okay, well, no, this is a very interesting setting. Like these guys are stuck within these walls, now have to fend for themselves and so forth. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So Yeah, but I just think that, if it was me, if I was given that concept and so forth, I would have gone a slightly different way within the story. And I would have focused much more on just humans against these giants, you know, and how these humans have to survive against the giants, and just how impossible it is, and how these guys pretty much get screwed over. So it would very much be within the same kind of vibe of Mad Max, you know, Mad Max. But you can't make a film of Attack on Titan. You can't. And people will try. I think if any Hollywood person views it, they'll be like, oh no, let's do it now. Let's bring CGI and everything. But it's like, even the way in which they attack the giants, with the facts of like where their ropes fire up through this whole gas infused kind of mechanism, and they jump up and they slice them like that. How the hell are you supposed to do? Because if you now make the giants CG, then you lose the effect. Because an important thing is you buying these giants, So that's the whole thing. So that's the thing. All right. So for this last 20 minutes or so, send in thy questions, man. Send in thy questions. For the last 20 minutes, send in thy questions, and I will now answer your questions, guys. I'll answer your questions. All right, so you send questions. Let me just see whether I missed anyone's from the top. You mean that no? Oscar predictions. Basically, for me, like, I don't really care about the Oscars. Oh, what the heck? I'm not really a big fan of the Oscars, bro. But if I was to predict, I've got a funny feeling that basically I think it's between 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Joaquin Phoenix should win the best actor. I think that's pretty much done. Best actress, they may give it to Scarlett Johansson. It's probably going to be Zellweger or Johansson, but they give it to Zellweger. I pray they don't give it to Cynthia Erivo. What's another slavery movie? But I'm thinking, like, the front runner is 1917. That is the front runner. But it's been the Oscars and they want to be different. They may give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as like a big upset. And yeah, those are really the really main ones. And best director, yeah, they'll give it to Sam Mendes. They'll give it to Sam Mendes. I think 1917 is the kind of film that the Oscars will go for. And that's not that it's an Oscar-based film, but it is the kind of film that I would expect to win the Oscars, man. Have you seen Beast of No Nation? Yes, I have seen Beast of No Nation, and it was cool. It was cool. Wasn't great. Told pretty well. I mean, yeah, because the director is the guy who's directing the new James Bond film. I think it's Fujiyama or something. He's directing the new James Bond. It was well made and everything, but I would call it classic. But the boy who was in it was really good. The boy who was in that film was really, really, really good. I thought that boy was really good. He played a really good role. Okay, let's see. Is Better Call Saul really that good? It's so you say you see no, that's not, do you know how funny that is? I had the same thing. So I watched season 1. I don't think I even got through. No, basically, I got halfway through season 1, and I was like, "Nah, man, this is whack. This is whack." And I was done after season 1. But then I said, "You know what? Let me keep with it." No. What it was, no. Everyone kept saying this is amazing, it's amazing. Then my friend said, "No, this is like one of the most amazing things out there." I was like, what? Are you sure this thing is a whack? But he was like, "No, sir, no, you have to watch. You have to watch. This thing is one of the most amazing things out there." So eventually, after many, many months, I said, "Okay, let me watch it." The other seasons get better. By the time you get to season 2, season 3, it gets better. Season 1 is the weakest season for sure. For sure, season 1 is the weakest season. I think you really, the character of Saul really becomes interesting by the time you go even further, man. So yeah, I still say keep it going. Do you think the West will will make a serious animation, will ever make a great serious animation. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Because I tell you, one of my biggest dreams is a really like Warhammer 40k, like a Warhammer 40k full length animation thing would be insane. But I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, like not anytime soon because too much money is being made from Pixar. They're always very successful, and no studio will be willing to give the risk because they're like, wait a minute, this is going to be given to Western audiences, and a lot of the guys in the studios and these production houses are like, adults don't watch cartoons. The only adults that watch cartoons are adults that have kids, but we cannot market a cartoon, a serious cartoon to adults. That's the kind of like archaic, backward thinking that they still have. So until that changes, you're not really going to see a serious animation come out from the West, which is sad. Which is sad because if you had, when you just look at the kind of capabilities that a Pixar and everything have, where they have amazing animation, but their stories are whack. Their stories are completely brick, man. The stories are completely whack. So yeah. What is your favorite show? So is it a favorite show of all time or at the moment? But okay, let me just say of favorite show of all time. That's I've got to give you several. Quantum Leap, the first 3 seasons of 24, The Wire. Those are the ones. And I think for different reasons, I think Quantum Leap, I think, is one of the most inventive ideas. Very, very creative in what they do. And I just think the way how the idea is executed is great. 24 is, again, a brilliant, superb idea executed to perfection. So 24 episodes, each episode is an hour, and they're going through a crazy, crazy ass day of a counter-terrorist detective. Brilliant. And you cast the excellent Kiefer Sutherland. Like it went off the rails after season 4, but those first 3 seasons of 24 hours is the most addictive piece of entertainment ever created. Easily, like those, I'm willing to bet with anybody that those first 3 seasons of 24 was crack cocaine. I think I watched season 2 in like 2 days. These are 24 episodes. I think I watched season 2 in about 2 days. I've never experienced anything like it. Where literally, as soon as you finish an episode, the next episode, finish an episode, the next episode, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. So yeah, that was really, really good, man. Sorry about that. Do you like Mr. Robots, man? I dropped Mr. Robot. So I watched the first season. I think I watched a bit of season 2. And I said, look, like, see, Rami Malek is really good actor. And I get what, I think his name is Sam Esmail. I get what he's trying to do with it, because he's trying to say a lot of stuff. And this is where, you have skilled writers and not so skilled writers. Because I think, he's trying to say a lot of stuff about society, technology, the rich and the poor and everything. But it just became a bit too preachy for me, Still a very good series, man. Still very inventive, very cool and everything. But I just think it just ended up being a bit too preachy for me. So I was like, it's a bit too much, man. It's a bit too much. Do you like Empire? Actually, the thing with Empire is, it's like I was really into Empire, but I think I just sort of like got diverted or something. And see, Empire just raw into entertainment, and the stars of Empire are Terrence Howard and I forgot her real name, Cookie. You know, those are the stars. Basically, Lucius Lyon and Cookie, like they for me, I just find them hilarious. They're hilarious. And because remember they were trying to like compare Empire to Power. There was like a bit of a rivalry, and Empire and Power are just completely different. They're completely different. You can't compare them. Like see, Power now Power now is maybe a bit more like Empire, but the first few seasons of Power was just very serious. It was actually like a much more of a serious kind of TV show. And Empire has always been very melodramatic. So Empire is a soap opera. Power is much more of a drama, but Power has actually become more like Empire now in its later seasons and is a bit more melodramatic now. Is So let's say Breaking Bad and Prison Break tier one for me. I haven't seen Prison Break. I haven't seen Prison Break, but people kept telling me that Prison Break is good. Like I kept seeing like because I know that dude Peter Stormare is in it, who was in John Wick. And I mean, I don't know whether I will get into it because again, the few episodes I saw was like, I'm like, okay, so you get into prison, you get out, but because your brother's in there, you break into prison and you draw a map of the prison on your. I was like, I was just, oh yeah, it's just wild. But maybe I will understand the story a bit more when I watch it. Breaking Bad is amazing, superb. I've only had one issue with the Breaking Bad, and it's something that I might be in the minority. Like Breaking, like everything apart from this is amazing. Like Bryan Cranston, who I remember very well from Malcolm in the Middle. I remember from Malcolm in the Middle, and he was amazing in Malcolm in the Middle. So Bryan Cranston is amazing, superb. Like his acting in it is just out of this world. I think was the episode. I think it's Ozymandias, where he basically starts cackling and going crazy. Superb. And just a really, really, really great story. Really good story. Because you see, the thing about Breaking Bad is it's such a fresh idea. Like if we just to tell the log line, the basic story of you, people are like, man, because that's amazing. But the issue that I have with Breaking Bad is that dude called Jesse. The guy's flipping annoying. And I don't understand how people like this dude. Why do the people like this dude? So I just found Jesse exceedingly annoying in the film, man. Jesse, like I was like, get this piece of crap off my screen. That's the thing. I just say, guys, just get this piece of crap off my screen. So yeah, that dude was just like, nah. So what do you think of the Boys series on Amazon? I need to watch that. Yes, I mean, people have been saying lots of about that, but maybe this goes on to another discussion here. Like for instance, the Boys. See, if it's between an amazing film and an amazing TV series, I will always choose an amazing film over an amazing TV series. See, I grew up watching films. So I would watch 3, 4, 5 films a day. And even today, if I have time, I can watch 3 or 4, 5 films back to back. I've seen Batman maybe hundreds of times. I've seen The Matrix Reloaded like hundreds of times. So I'm a film merchant. I'm a full-on film merchant. And remember, TV has only really begun to have a boom in the last few years. So maybe people say, oh, watch this TV show, watch the TV show. Do you realize what it means to invest like 9, 8, 12, 10 hours into something? That's huge. But for a film, it's just 2 hours. 2 hours, maybe 2.5, maybe 3. But for most TV shows, you're investing at least 8, 9, 10 hours. And it's a long time. And especially with this stuff, it's only by the time you get to, let's say you've got like 10 episodes for a season. Only by episode 4 or 5 does the story really kick in. But when you're watching a film, by like halfway through, you should really have got an idea as to what the hell is happening. So I will always choose a film over like a TV thing. It's more digestible, man. But look, so the thing with Jesse is that I never felt sorry for it. I never did. And I think the idea was the writers were trying to make us feel sorry for him. And I think a lot of people did. But I was like, you're a grown man. and all you do is you bitch and you moan, you bitch and you moan. All you do is complain, 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 complain. And bro, like it's your fault. You're the way you are. If you made better decisions, then you wouldn't be in a space that you are. So it's not a case of where people are just screwing him over and he's trying his best. There are times in which no, you're just flipping annoying. And it's your fault, and you just spend your time crying, worrying, crying. Well, it's like, man, shut up, shut the hell up, shut the hell up. So for me, nah. Oh, this is a good question. How do you rate Michael Blackson as a comedian over Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle? Now, the thing about Michael Blackson is that he isn't a stand-up comedian. He's like a street comedian, and those are very different things. Like his street comedian is just a guy who, like, he does viral shows and everything. I see Michael Blackson is like King Batch. I don't know whether you know King Batch, who was huge on Vine and now he's on Instagram. Hilarious guy, King Batch, hilarious. But King Batch, like Michael Blackson, they're not like stand-up comics, and stand-up comedy is very different. That is a skill. That is a skill. You see, Kevin Hart for me is a great street comedian. He isn't a good stand-up comic. I've tried to watch Kevin Hart's. I don't think I've actually sat through a whole Kevin Hart special. Never. I've never sat through a whole Kevin Hart's comedy bit, because I'm like, I just don't find his stand-up comedy funny. But when I watch Real Husbands of Hollywood, or whenever he's like, that chocolate dripper, his rap thing, he's really funny. But as a stand-up comic, he's not funny. You see, for me, the greatest comic I still say is the greatest comic for me is still Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor is still the greatest, and I think Dave Chappelle is definitely up there. He's definitely up there. But I actually prefer Dave Chappelle when he was skinny. I don't know. Dave Chappelle with muscles just seems weird. But I think Dave Chappelle with when he was skinny, just what he looked like, just came out as funny to me. But the comedian who makes me laugh out loud the most is Cat Williams. Like, Cat Williams can do some stuff where I literally have to stand up and leave the room. Literally. He'll just say some stuff where, like, all right, I have to stand up. My eyes are watering. I am like, what the hell? And I just have to leave the flipping room. So, yeah, Cat Williams is just, bro, the dude is different, man. The dude is different. So, and for me, see, I've never really rated Chris Rock. So Chris Rock has said some very interesting bits, but there's never been like a set that he's had which has been amazing. See, the like Eddie Murphy Raw, The Delirious, Richard Pryor Live on Sunset Boulevard, Dave Chappelle Killing Me Softly, and the other one that he did, I can't remember the other one that he did as well, where he talks about grape juice, grape drink. You see, those are like amazing sets. I don't think Chris Rock has had really an amazing set, but Cat Williams, the guy just says some stuff that just like, nobody makes me laugh out loud more than Cat Williams. Like, he's just like, nah. He's out of there. So, but I still say that. Objectively, my personal favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle. Before he got most like Dave Chappelle thing, like that's just my personal favorites. But I think the greatest comedian of all time, taking everything into account, was Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor is the godfather. He is the best. Let's see. I think someone said another pretty good one. Jumanji 2. Someone said something. There was a good question about Will Smith. If I can find it, Williams. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Do you rate Will Smith as an actor? Basically, no. Because basically, because Bad Quest for Life comes out this Friday. I'm gonna watch it. So, because basically, him and Martin Lawrence have been on an amazing kind of press tour for the whole thing. First off, before I answer that question, Will Smith is a true rarity. At one point, he was one of the biggest rap stars in the world. He became the first rapper to win a Grammy. Then he was the star of one of the biggest TV shows in the world at the time. Then after that, he then was one of the biggest movie stars in the world as well. So this guy in three different entertainment fields has crushed in them. So people say, oh no, Will Smith, he's not as good as he worship anymore. But bro, based on what this guy has achieved in three different fields, i.e. rap, television, and movies, that's amazing. There is no other human being who has been an unrivaled success in music, an unrivaled success in TV, and an unrivaled success in films. Never. So that's amazing. Will Smith is not a great actor. He's good. He's good. He's not a great actor in the kind of technical sense of the world within the discipline and everything. He's not the greatest actor. I admire his effort and how he dives in, but he's just not the greatest actor. Will Smith's strength is his charisma. One of the most charismatic movie stars that we've ever had, and I think it was about some months ago. Last year I watched Men in Black 1 again. Do you know how good Will Smith is in Men in Black? Because as I was watching it, like, even by the time you go about 20 minutes through, I was like, this is a star. This is literally a flipping star. Like, I was like, no, this basically what he was doing in Men in Black was similar to what Eddie Murphy was doing in Beverly Hills Cop. Like, when you should see Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, you're like, my gosh, I'm watching a star here. This guy is taking over this entire film. Although I say Eddie Murphy's best film is Golden Child. Golden Child is hilarious. Okay, but Golden Child is Eddie Murphy's funniest film, 100%. But yeah, when you just watch what Will Smith was doing in Men in Black, you're like, oh, man, this is bloody amazing, And taking everything into account, Men in Black 1 is still Will Smith's best film. That is still Will Smith at his best, used at his best. That's when you're using Will Smith in the right way, was Men in Black 1. Because the other ones were just became like, all right, let's see what other ones you actually, man. So say something about Chris Tucker. No, Chris Tucker. See again, Chris Tucker. He's a decent stand-up comic. I wouldn't call him a great stand-up comic, but he is. I'll say it, and I'm sure Daniel Taylor will agree. I'm sure Danny T will agree. He is in the best comedy series of all time. I'll say it, and you can fight me on it. The Rush Hour series, and I will tweet this out, and I'm sure Danny T will co-sign with me. The Rush Hour series is the best comedy series of all time. Name me one better. You can't. Because for me, I still thought Rush Hour 3 was good, and Rush Hour 3 had one of the most sexiest women you'll ever see. And I think that the woman in Rush Hour 3 is she's the wife of Makelele. I think that is Makelele's wife. I'm Claude Makelele's wife, because the woman in Rush Hour 3 is, my God, like, wow, like, my God, But Rush Hour, because I still like Rush Hour 3, it was still pretty funny, but Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 2 are comedy classics. Like, Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 2 are comedy classics, man. So yeah, those are top, man. No. Those two Rush Hour films, amazing. Because remember, because Rush Hour 1 was a damn good comedy. So it's very, very. How many times do you see a sequel totally blow out its quality predecessor? But Rush Hour 2 was categorically better than Rush Hour 1. But look, man, there's some funny bits. I'm gonna watch that again, man. I'm gonna watch that again. Or what I want to try and do is, man, that'll be hard, man. If like me and like Danny T can maybe do like watch it together at the same time, man, that would just be hilarious, man. But yeah, like quality, absolute quality, man. That's bruh. Rush Hour, Those no, because it was hilarious, man. Hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. Um, oh, is that her name? Oh, Noemi Lenoir. Oh my God. God. Um, Chris. Oh, and this is a good way to end it like that. Chris Hemsworth is a Class B break, possibly a Class A break, because I am inducting him for him disrespecting and pissing all over the Thor character. Guys, it's been swell. Thank you for joining me on this week's edition of the movie show. And remember, this drops every Wednesday. If anybody's new, remember to hit that sub button, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I'm almost there. I'm on 890 subs. Trying to get to 1,000 subs on this channel. That's my next milestone. So if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys next Wednesday for the next movie show. Peace.